What if everything we were told about UFOs was only half the truth? Just days ago, brand new Pentagon UFO files were quietly released to the public, and inside those files were military testimonies, radar data, and footage so disturbing that even experienced intelligence officers struggled to explain it. Objects moving without wings, lights appearing over restricted military zones, giant glowing orbs following fighter jets in silence. For decades, the US government denied almost everything. But now, something has changed. Tonight, we are diving deep into the newest Pentagon UFO files that shock the entire world. And some people believe these documents may finally prove we are not alone. Darkness. For thousands of years, humanity has looked toward the sky and wondered one terrifying question. Are we alone? Ancient civilizations wrote stories about strange lights descending from the heavens. Pilots during World War II reported glowing objects following aircraft across the night sky. Astronauts claimed they witnessed things they could never fully explain. But every time the topic came up, governments dismissed it. Weather balloons, optical illusions, misidentified aircraft. That was the official explanation for decades. Until now, because in 2026, the Pentagon released another shocking collection of UFO documents and witness reports connected to what they now officially call UAPs, unidentified anomalous phenomena. And according to multiple insiders, these incidents are becoming impossible to ignore. Some of the objects were detected by military radar, some were recorded by fighter pilots, and some reportedly performed movements that no known human technology should be capable of. But perhaps the most disturbing part, many of these encounters happened near highly restricted military zones, and according to leaked testimony, some objects appeared to intelligently react to US aircraft, as if they knew they were being watched. To understand why these new files matter so much, we need to go back in time. For decades, the United States government publicly denied serious interest in UFOs. But behind closed doors, that wasn't entirely true. Back in 1947, one incident changed everything forever. Roswell. A mysterious object allegedly crashed near Roswell, New Mexico. At first, military officials claimed they recovered a flying disc. Then suddenly, the story changed overnight. Officials said it was only a weather balloon, but the damage was already done. Rumors exploded across America. People began believing the government was hiding something enormous. And over the years, more strange incidents followed. Military pilots reported impossible aircraft movements. Nuclear base workers claimed glowing objects hovered near missile silos. Radar operators tracked objects moving at unbelievable speeds. Yet officially, nothing unusual was happening. Or at least, that's what the public was told. In the 1950s, the US Air Force launched a secret investigation known as Project Blue Book. Officially, the program existed to study UFO sightings scientifically. But critics later claimed the real purpose may have been something else entirely. Control the public narrative. Thousands of UFO cases were investigated. Some were explained, but many weren't. And according to certain researchers, several cases displayed flight characteristics far beyond known aircraft technology at the time. Objects accelerating instantly, silent hovering, sharp angle turns impossible for normal pilots to survive. Still, Project Blue Book eventually ended, and the government claimed there was no evidence. UFOs posed a threat to national security. Case closed. Or so it seemed, because decades later, shocking military encounters would once again force the Pentagon into the spotlight. Everything changed in 2017. That was the year leaked military footage suddenly appeared online. The videos showed unidentified objects captured by US Navy fighter jets. Pilots could be heard reacting in disbelief. One object appeared to rotate while moving at extraordinary speed. Another seemed to fly against powerful winds effortlessly. The footage spread across the internet like wildfire. Millions of people watched it. And for the first time in modern history, the Pentagon officially confirmed the videos were real. Not fake. Not edited. Real military footage. That moment changed public perception forever. Suddenly, UFO discussions were no longer limited to conspiracy forums. Major news channels began covering the topic seriously. Government officials started demanding answers. And intelligence agencies quietly reopened investigations into unexplained aerial phenomena. But what the public didn't realize was that this was only the beginning. Fast forward to today. The newest Pentagon UFO files contain reports, testimonies, and descriptions that many people never expected to see released publicly. According to multiple insiders, several incidents involved glowing spherical objects, commonly described as orbs. These objects reportedly appeared near military aircraft during training operations. One intelligence officer described seeing a bright orb moving silently beside a helicopter before suddenly disappearing. No explosion, no sound, just gone. Other reports described objects capable of extreme acceleration. Some appeared on radar for only seconds before vanishing completely. And perhaps most disturbing of all, several military personnel reportedly experienced electronic interference during encounters. Communication systems malfunctioned. Tracking equipment failed. Sensors behaved unpredictably, almost as if the objects themselves were affecting nearby technology. Now, naturally, skeptics argue there may be logical explanations. Experimental drones, foreign surveillance technology, sensor errors. And to be fair, some sightings probably can be explained that way. But according to former military witnesses, not all of them, because some incidents involved movements beyond anything they had ever encountered before. And that's where the mystery becomes truly unsettling. One of the most talked about reports from the new files involves what insiders call the orb incident. According to testimony, military personnel observed a glowing orange sphere hovering near a classified operation zone. At first, witnesses assumed it might be a drone, but then the object began moving. Not like a helicopter, not like a plane. It accelerated silently across the sky at incredible speed, then suddenly stopped. Instantly. No gradual slowdown, no turning radius, just stopped. Experienced pilots later stated that no known aircraft should be capable of performing such maneuvers without destroying itself. And then something even stranger happened. The orb reportedly approached military aircraft directly, as if it were observing them. One pilot later described feeling watched. Another claimed the object reacted every time their aircraft changed direction, almost intelligently. And then, without warning, the orb vanished. No explosion, no visible propulsion, just disappeared into darkness. Military radar reportedly lost the object seconds later. To this day, officials have not provided a definitive explanation. Publicly, officials continue using cautious language. Unidentified. Under investigation. No confirmed extraterrestrial origin. But privately, some insiders reportedly fear something much bigger may be happening. Because according to leaked discussions, sightings near military zones have increased dramatically over recent years. And not only in America. Reports have emerged from multiple countries worldwide. Strange lights over oceans. Objects tracked near naval fleets. Unidentified craft appearing near nuclear facilities. And in several cases, different countries reportedly detected the same unexplained objects simultaneously, which raises a terrifying possibility. What if these are not isolated incidents at all? What if humanity has been observed for far longer than we realize? As soon as the new files became public, social media exploded. Some people believe disclosure is finally happening. Others think governments are slowly preparing the public for a much larger revelation. Meanwhile, skeptics accuse officials of distraction tactics, and online investigators immediately began analyzing every frame of footage released, zooming in, enhancing images, comparing radar timestamps. Millions of views flooded YouTube within hours. TikTok clips went viral overnight. Reddit forums became packed with theories, some terrifying, some ridiculous, and some disturbingly believable. But among all the chaos, one question kept appearing over and over again. Why now? Why would governments suddenly begin releasing information after decades of secrecy? And according to some researchers, The answer may be connected to an event that allegedly occurred deep inside restricted airspace years ago, an event so disturbing that witnesses were reportedly warned never to speak about it publicly. The incident reportedly began on an unusually calm night over restricted military airspace. Radar operators first noticed something strange shortly after midnight. At first, the signal looked weak, almost like interference. But within seconds, the unidentified object suddenly accelerated across the radar screen at a speed that stunned everyone. Inside the control room, one operator reportedly believed the system was malfunctioning because, according to leaked descriptions, the object moved in ways that should have been physically impossible. It climbed thousands of feet in seconds, then stopped instantly, then changed direction without slowing down. No known aircraft could perform maneuvers like that, not without tearing apart in midair. But the radar signal remained stable, which meant one terrifying thing: whatever they were tracking was real. As confusion spread inside the radar station, military commanders made a decision. 2 fighter jets were immediately scrambled to intercept the object. The pilots initially assumed this was some kind of unauthorized aircraft entering restricted airspace, maybe a drone, maybe foreign surveillance technology. But the moment they reached the coordinates, everything changed. The object appeared directly ahead of them, bright, circular, glowing with an intense white-orange light. And according to one witness account, it wasn't moving like a normal aircraft at all. It hovered silently in complete darkness. No visible wings, no exhaust, no sound. One pilot later described the scene as completely unnatural. The object seemed almost too still, as if gravity itself wasn't affecting it. Then suddenly, the object began moving toward the jets. According to leaked testimony, the pilots immediately attempted to lock their targeting systems onto the object. But something bizarre happened. The systems failed repeatedly. Sensors glitched. Tracking systems froze. Radar became unstable. One pilot reportedly said, "It was almost like the object knew exactly what we were trying to do." The glowing sphere circled around the fighter jets effortlessly, not aggressively, but almost curiously. Then it accelerated. And what happened next would become one of the most disturbing moments in the entire encounter. The object reportedly disappeared from visual range within seconds. Not gradually, instantly. One moment it was directly in front of them. The next moment, gone. But radar operators quickly located it again. Except now, it was over 60 miles away, and it had covered that distance in seconds. Military analysts later reviewed the radar data repeatedly. Some reportedly believed the numbers had to be wrong, because according to calculations, the object accelerated faster than anything publicly known to exist, far beyond conventional aircraft, far beyond modern drones. And some experts argued that if a human pilot had been inside such a craft, the G-forces alone would have been fatal. Yet the object showed no signs of instability, no sonic boom, no visible propulsion, nothing. And that's one reason why this case terrified intelligence officials. Because if the reports were accurate, then humanity may be dealing with technology decades, or even centuries, beyond current understanding. Of course, not everyone believes extraterrestrials are involved. Some researchers argue these objects may actually belong to secret military programs, highly classified technology developed in complete secrecy. And to be fair, governments have hidden advanced aircraft projects before. The stealth bomber remained secret for years. Spy planes like the State Route 71 Blackbird shocked the world once revealed. So naturally, some believe these UFO sightings may simply involve experimental aerospace technology. But critics of that theory point out several problems. First, many encounters date back decades, long before modern drone technology existed. Second, multiple countries have reported similar objects independently. And third, even experienced military personnel seem genuinely confused by what they witnessed, which raises another unsettling possibility. What if governments themselves don't fully understand what these objects are? As investigators dug deeper into Pentagon files, a strange pattern began emerging. Many UFO encounters appeared connected to oceans, large bodies of water, naval zones, aircraft carriers, submarines. Again and again, reports described unidentified objects entering or emerging from the sea. Some military witnesses even claimed certain objects traveled seamlessly between air and water, without slowing down, without crashing, without visible damage. That detail shocked many experts, because moving at high speed underwater creates enormous physical resistance. Yet, according to testimony, these objects seemed unaffected, and this gave birth to a disturbing theory. What if some unidentified craft are not coming from outer space at all? What if they've been here much longer than humanity realizes, hidden deep beneath Earth's oceans? For years, rumors have circulated online about alleged underwater UFO bases. Most people dismissed those stories as internet conspiracy theories. But after several recent military reports, some investigators started taking the idea more seriously. One leaked account described naval personnel tracking an unknown object, descending rapidly into the ocean before vanishing completely. Submarines reportedly failed to relocate it afterward. Another report claimed sailors witnessed glowing lights moving beneath the water at impossible speeds during nighttime operations. And according to certain former intelligence insiders, there may be classified sonar recordings the public has never heard. If true, that could mean governments possess far more information than they publicly admit. But whether these objects are extraterrestrial, secret technology, or something else entirely, one fact remains undeniable. The number of sightings appears to be increasing. This raises another huge question. If governments truly discovered undeniable evidence of non-human intelligence, would they even tell the public immediately? Some experts believe the answer is no, because confirmation of extraterrestrial life could completely change humanity forever. Religions could be affected, global politics could shift, financial markets could panic, and perhaps most importantly, people might lose trust in governments that denied the phenomenon for decades, which is why some theorists believe disclosure is happening slowly, step by step, file by file, video by video, preparing humanity gradually, not for the possibility of alien life, but for the reality of it. But among all the reports inside the new Pentagon files, one detail disturbed researchers more than anything else. Several witnesses claimed the objects seemed interested in military technology, especially nuclear sites, missile bases, weapons facilities, restricted defense zones. Again and again, unidentified objects reportedly appeared near highly sensitive locations. And according to certain retired officers, this pattern has existed for decades. Some even claimed nuclear systems experienced unexplained malfunctions during UFO encounters. Now officially, none of this proves extraterrestrial involvement. But if the reports are true, then whoever, or whatever, controls these objects may be closely monitoring humanity's most dangerous weapons. And that possibility is deeply unsettling. As public interest exploded, more former military personnel began speaking out. Some risked careers to share their experiences. Others claimed they remained silent for years out of fear. One whistleblower described seeing a craft with no visible engine hovering silently above a restricted zone. Another claimed military teams recovered unusual materials after an unidentified crash event. And perhaps most controversially, several insiders accused governments of hiding information from the public for decades. Now skeptics argue extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. And they are right. Stories alone are not proof. But supporters believe the growing number of credible witnesses is becoming impossible to ignore, especially when many of those witnesses are trained military professionals. Pilot, after the latest Pentagon release, something unusual happened online. Searches for UFOs, aliens, and UAP sightings exploded worldwide. Clips analyzing military footage gained millions of views overnight. Even mainstream news channels started discussing possibilities they once mocked openly. And quietly, public opinion began shifting. More people than ever now believe governments may know far more than they admit. But perhaps the strangest part, some insiders hinted that additional footage still hasn't been released. Footage reportedly considered too sensitive for public viewing. And according to rumors, One unreleased video allegedly shows an object performing maneuvers so extreme that analysts feared the public would not believe it was real. Deep over the Pacific Ocean, a military carrier group was conducting routine operations during the night when radar systems detected something unusual moving above the water. At first, operators believed it was another aircraft, but within moments, confusion spread across the command center because the object had no flight signature matching any known military craft, no transponder, no identification signal, nothing. And then sailors on deck saw it with their own eyes, a glowing object hovering silently above the ocean, bright white at the center, surrounded by a faint orange glow. Some witnesses later claimed the object appeared almost perfectly circular. Others described it as smooth and metallic. But every witness agreed on one thing. It moved unlike anything they had ever seen before. Fighter jets were immediately launched from the carrier. As the pilots approached the coordinates, they expected the object to flee. Instead, it remained completely still, hovering silently above the dark water. One pilot later described the scene as deeply unsettling, because the object showed no visible signs of propulsion, no wings, no exhaust flames, no sound. And then, suddenly, the object dropped downward, straight toward the ocean. Fast. So fast that one pilot believed it would crash into the water. But it didn't. Instead, the glowing craft reportedly entered the ocean smoothly, without creating a massive impact. No explosion. No giant wave. It simply disappeared beneath the surface. The pilots circled above the area in shock. Then radar operators shouted something over communications that made the situation even stranger. The object was still moving. Underwater. According to leaked accounts, sonar systems detected rapid movement below the carrier group shortly after the object submerged, and the speed reportedly made no sense. Underwater resistance should have slowed any craft dramatically. Yet whatever this object was, it moved effortlessly beneath the sea. One witness later claimed the object accelerated underwater, faster than modern submarines. If true, that would represent technology far beyond anything publicly known. And then something even more disturbing happened. The sonar signal vanished completely, as if the object had simply disappeared into the darkness below. Search teams reportedly found nothing afterward. No debris, no wreckage, no explanation, only unanswered questions. Rumors about this encounter remained hidden for years, until insiders allegedly leaked information connected to classified footage. According to reports, portions of the video were shown privately to intelligence officials and defense analysts, and many were left stunned. Some described the footage as the strongest UFO evidence ever recorded. Others reportedly feared public reaction if the full video were released online, because if authentic, the footage suggests humanity may be observing technology that completely defies modern understanding. Naturally, skeptics argue extraordinary claims require hard proof, and they are correct. Without public access to full classified material, uncertainty remains. But according to several former officials, the unreleased footage is very real, and far more disturbing than anything currently available online. As public fascination grew, another rumor began spreading rapidly: the possibility that governments may have recovered unidentified materials from crash incidents. For decades, conspiracy theories claimed secret programs existed to study unknown technology recovered from UFO events. Most people dismissed those claims immediately. But recently, several whistleblowers reignited the debate. One former insider alleged that hidden recovery teams investigated unidentified crash sites before local authorities could arrive. Another claimed unusual metallic materials were collected and transported to secure facilities for analysis. And according to some reports, researchers struggled to understand how the materials were manufactured. Again, none of these claims have been fully verified publicly, but the growing number of similar testimonies has intensified public suspicion, especially because officials rarely give clear answers. Instead, they continue using vague statements. Under investigation. No confirmed explanation. insufficient data. And for many people, that uncertainty only deepens the mystery. One major reason UFO discussions exploded online is simple. Public trust has changed. Decades ago, most people accepted official explanations immediately. Today, millions question everything. And when governments admit that unidentified objects are entering restricted airspace, people naturally demand answers, especially when military personnel themselves appear confused. Because trained fighter pilots are not ordinary witnesses. These are professionals trained to identify aircraft under extreme conditions. Yet many openly admit they encountered objects they could not explain. That reality has forced even skeptics to reconsider the phenomenon more seriously, not necessarily as alien spacecraft, but as a genuine mystery. And perhaps that's the most important part of all. For the first time in history, governments are no longer denying the mystery exists. That question has haunted humanity forever. Are we alone in the universe? Statistically, many scientists believe intelligent life elsewhere is possible. The universe is unimaginably massive. Billions of galaxies, trillions of planets. The idea that Earth contains the only intelligent life form seems difficult for many experts to believe. But possibility is not proof. And despite decades of sightings and stories, no government has publicly confirmed extraterrestrial contact, at least not officially. Still, the latest Pentagon files changed something important. They forced the world to admit there are objects in our skies that remain unexplained, objects capable of extraordinary behavior, objects seen by military pilots, tracked on radar, and investigated by intelligence agencies. And until clear answers emerge, the mystery will continue growing. Some believe UFOs are advanced secret military technology. Others think foreign governments created breakthrough aircraft hidden from the public. And of course, millions believe these objects may originate from somewhere beyond Earth. But there is another theory, one even stranger than extraterrestrials. What if humanity has misunderstood the phenomenon completely? What if these objects are not visitors, but something that has always existed alongside us? Unknown intelligences hidden in places humanity rarely explores. Deep oceans, remote regions, areas beyond our understanding. It sounds impossible. Yet so did many discoveries throughout history. And perhaps that's what makes this mystery so terrifying. Not the idea that we are alone, but the possibility that we never were. Tonight, somewhere above the oceans, somewhere deep inside restricted airspace, perhaps even somewhere hidden beneath the sea, the mystery continues. Radar systems still detect unknown objects. Pilots still report impossible encounters. Governments still investigate unexplained phenomena behind closed doors. And maybe, the truth is finally beginning to surface. Or maybe humanity has only seen the beginning. Because if the newest Pentagon UFO files proved anything, it's that the world still doesn't know what's really out there. And perhaps the most frightening part of all is that someone may already know the answer. If you enjoyed this investigation and want more shocking UFO mysteries, secret Pentagon files, and unexplained encounters from around the world, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss the next upload. This is Shadow UFO, and the truth may be closer than we think. Thanks for watching.